Yo, it's time for some honesty. Honesty with yourself. Honesty with me and myself. What does the honesty yield us? Sometimes we might feel like it's maybe yielding us some shite and shenanigans. And that may be true. We might be dealing with people who don't like to hear the truth. Might. For most of us, that's like a frickin' guarantee. We definitely are putting out with other people's wounds and shortcomings. And they just see it as an assertiveness. And the challenge for us is to basically stand our ground and realize who and what we are. And if you can't see that yet, ask for help. If you can't see, and if you think you see, and you still have the shite and shenanigans in your life, and that woe is me attitude, it's time to wake up and take your power back. All right, I don't know what this reading is going to be about, but it's definitely something that I had kind of gotten a word to just stop. Don't. I'm trying not to cough. Take a sip. I went to a local grocery store and I found some local small company made ginger ale. I'm from Michigan, so we used to have Verner's, and Verner's was the best. I actually, well, somewhere out there, there is a photograph of it was right on Woodward Avenue in Detroit where they had the Verner's factory, and I remember going down there probably in the 90s, mid-90s, early 90s, and the only thing that was left, because they leveled that huge lot, the only thing that was left was the sign. That sign is long gone. If you know where Comerica Park is, it was just up the road on the opposite side of Woodward. It was not too far from what I was told was one of the original assembly lines that Henry Ford had put together. So anyway, that being said, it's that whole forgive and forget, and I think that's kind of not possible. And I also don't think it's healthy. I got to turn my little guy around here. Got kind of bumped. The idea is that when you have something happen and somebody or circumstances hurt you, whether it's physically, emotionally, or psychologically, you have to kind of let it go. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy. In the last few weeks, it's really been instrumental for progress, because forgiving ourselves is very deep. It doesn't mean you put yourself in the same situation that you were in before. It doesn't mean that you are going to allow that individual or that circumstance to repeat itself. Definitely exit stage left, man. The point is that once we forgive ourselves for being in a certain situation and not having seen it coming, or not doing this, that, or the other, there's always those regrets of, hey, I could have, should have, would have. And so really the best thing to do is let it all kind of dissipate. Forgive yourself. When you start forgiving yourself for the things that we've experienced, even though we may have been walking down the street and accosted, assaulted, and a lot of times, when somebody, dies and you say, well, why them? Why not me? There is a huge degree of self-forgiveness that's not happening. The forgive is within ourselves. The forget, just forget that part. You're not going to forget. But what happens is we start changing our narrative from the past. And you're going to have to figure out what that means for you. But forgiving ourselves first is going to be pivotal. And again, if you're in a situation where it's not healthy, it's best to try and exit as quickly as possible, unless there's a lesson to be learned. If there's physical, psychological, mental damage being done, absolutely. I think that was that part of it. So this is about forgiving ourselves and not forgetting, so we don't make the same mistakes. So we don't, not even a mistake, it's so we don't put ourselves in the same or similar positions. How many times have you gone through and done something, and the next thing that you know, you're sitting there going, doggone it, I wish I hadn't have done that or said that. And I think that's a big part of maybe what's coming through this evening. So again, this is timeless. I didn't really expect to do this. Dog. Yeah, it's been a week. Looking for solutions for myself and others. And it's just all part of it. Oopsie. All right, so I don't go to the whole angelic guides, spirit guides. I just assume that, I don't really assume, I take that back. I don't assume anything. But I do clear the area of anything that's going to interfere with our communication of the original source, the original one, and the original word, because it really starts with the word, which in the word was not a spoken word per se, but it was a vibration. Wow. So let's kind of move on from there. So really that's where our information is coming from. And this is about forgiving ourselves. How can we, sorry, itchy nose. How can we help facilitate, I almost said, how can we facilitate not having an itchy nose? And that card flies out. But really, how can we go ahead and try and forgive ourselves? Because I don't care how far along you feel that you are, there are always regrets. We need to release those regrets. No regrets. Everything. There's nothing wasted. There's nothing lost. So if you have regrets, that's another thing. Don't cut the cord. Untie that puppy. Remove the tendrils. Again, this is all part of remembering who we are. We. Okay. All right. So imagine. So, wow, that's a really cool card. I don't think I've seen this card before. So imagine this light that's beaming up, that looks like a crown to me. I don't know about you, but that looks like a crown. And it's a crown of light, a crown of enlightenment. And it's almost like we are this down here, and this is our inner child trying to reach for the moon. We're trying to reach and figure out, what is the mystery? What is this mystery? We're not afraid. Typically, a lot of times the moon can represent fears, the unknown, and there's some boldness. And when we use our imagination, because that's where everything, the tablecloth, the cards, the singing bowl, all started with someone's imagining the item, the thing, right? Even this crystal, somebody imagined, well, I can do this, and they just figure out what machinery is needed in the process, and it's all part of it. It's all part of the imagination, and tapping into that. And I won't forget. So I'm supposed to talk about this guy here too. So when we use our imagination, yeah, we got to be flexible. How often does that happen? That's card 20. This is card 19. So staying flexible and not expecting immediate answers, not expecting things to happen in what we perceive as a time frame. Boy, am I guilty of that. Because I just want it to be done. I just want this whole uncomfortable situation to end, and I just need to move on. Let's move on. Moving on. Nothing to see here. So even though this says all that glitters, and that saying that all that glitters is not gold, but for me, it's like grass is greener too. Because sometimes if we push moving on too quickly, that's what it is. We can look on the other side of the fence and see how beautiful and green the grass is, but honestly, it's not all that glitters is gold. And it's a separation of, I see a separation of the masculine and feminine energies within each one of us. And we're being guided to kind of replace that with some flexibility and imagination to make sure that we can overcome this with this, our imagination and staying flexible. Yeah, don't worry about time. Because time is not something that's relevant at this point. Time is definitely not relevant. It's just kind of slipping. How many times have you heard this week that somebody's saying, I can't believe we're already at the beginning of the month or end of the month or end of the day. Oh my gosh, the day started out so slow and now it's time to go home. And it's irrelevant. If you pay too much attention to it, you are paying. It's like putting coins into the meter of your car. You're always worried about your car and the meter's going to expire. You're always putting coins out, run out. You can't enjoy your day out and about when you're always putting, gotta look at the time. So, don't worry about the time. Time is not relevant in our particular situation. And our forgiveness of ourselves is going to happen when it happens. Okay, so one of the things is, and this is kind of interesting, and I did this, and I wanted to do something that was completely different, but this is how it came out. I wanted this cow's skull to be kind of suspended in the middle, and it was going to blah, 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 and it was going to represent something that is death but part of life. And what ended up happening is it tilted, and I ended up putting... you can see how the metal here is, if you could, I don't know, you can maybe see it. It's kind of like coming in a wave, but it's only because of this, and this is amethyst. It's an amethyst spike. And that's what this harbinger, and he's got little red eyes. You probably can't pick that up, but he's got little red eyes, and he's moving towards our tree, to us, to this tree of life, rooted as above, so below. And what's really kind of interesting is he's kind of a harbinger, and he's never going to catch. He's suspended. It's got nothing to do with time. It'll never happen. This harbinger would never arrive. The harbinger is frozen. We are not. We continue to grow. As long as we remain flexible, use our imagination, and put it into play. Don't worry about time. So this is the harbinger. That's one of my fun little guys I have. I'm going to start doing more pyramids again very soon. All right. Might have to put the harbinger off to the side here, because I feel like this one's going to kind of take off at this point. So this was starting out to be about forgiveness, and it was forgiveness for self and how we're able to do that. And sometimes we just have people that get in our way or feel like it, but it's really more like when we feel like we're stopped or slowed down, maybe we need to stop and slow down and look at what it is that is going on around us or what we're thinking about in that given particular moment. Okay. That was it. In that rhythm, that was it, Auric. this becomes kind of like, I think people hear this too often, and I think if you hear it over and over and over again, there's something in it that makes me feel like we don't believe it. And this is why things are repeated. We don't believe it. We haven't learned it. So if you keep hearing it and you start getting irritated, you need to take a deep breath and figure out. Maybe there's some self-forgiveness that needs to happen. But this is protected. I hear that all of the time. Protected. Oh, you're protected. It's like, okay. You know, you get to a point, it's like, I don't even know what that means anymore. But I think what's interesting about this card, it says we are protected. Look at this dude. Look at the dude at the bottom of the card. Doesn't look particularly active, does he? So it's like this timely protection of the heavens. So even though the body might be one place, it's the spirit that dwells in another place. And whether you're living and breathing in what we call living, or whether you've crossed over, as it could be said, we are protected. There's some other symbolism I don't quite get here. There's an owl for wisdom, and it's open. The wings are open. It looks also like an ibis, maybe? And a moth. So it's like the breakthroughs are going to be coming in. The ideas through our imagination are going to come in at night. And we are more protected at night. Wherever you're at, we are more protected at night than during the day. Pure love. And that's what it is. This protection is directly a manifestation of pure love and care from our ancestors and from other dimensional beings, energies. And yep, they're asking us to do a little more self-care. A lot more self-care. And with the butterflies, I know they look like, but yeah, they're butterflies. It's like, you know, we've already gone through that caterpillar soup thing, right? We've made that transition and we're starting something new, but that's just not one. There are a lot of facets to our life that we're having to maybe start over with. Maybe ideas for our imagination or whatever it is that's going on in your life. Now, this does come up a lot, and it's the sun. So vulnerability comes into mind, because look, she's very vulnerable there. And then there's a great deal of strength and more butterflies. Yeah, this past lives card is really talking about we can utilize those who have been in our life in the past, who have passed away. We can also use any of the past life information and grow on that. That's going to be part of our self-care. You know, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do have to be our own community. It says community. Sometimes we just got to be our own party, right? Okay. So what sacred geometry can help us get through this whole idea of there's just a lot of changes going on, you know, a lot of things to make the change. I know one of the words is like a transition or change or shift. Shift is another really popular, if I can spit it out, popular word. All right. All right, so what sacred geometry energies can we pick up that will help us navigate this self-care, self-forgiveness, self-healing, realizing the divine self, the integrated self? Wow, sure is going to lead to some prosperity. I'm just going to read that. The frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, and soul and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. We manifest this. We are so freaking connected. It's not just being protected. This is about protected, but it's also about reflected. It's also about between the reflected and the protected. That's where our prosperity comes from. Because, you know what they say, what you put out, you'll get back. So if you're argumentative, people are going to argue with you. And they're going to be more prone to argue with you. Right? So when you are putting out, and it doesn't mean that every time you are nice to somebody that they're going to be nice to you, that's where the expectations need to, come into play. But we are definitely in this prosperity. We have access to it, and this is a realization. The frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of our heart-centered truth, as well as the external process of becoming our highest expression in this world. So 100%. Once we have the self-realization, it makes a huge difference. And you can't have that with self-loathing or blaming others. When you blame somebody else for something, I don't care if they did something to you or not. Stop it. Protect yourself, forgive yourself, and don't let it happen again. That's the realization. And don't be mad. Don't be mad at them, and don't be mad at you. Because there was a situation and a lesson to be learned. That's it. I mean, that's basically where that's coming from. Wow. One more. Oh, come on now. Off the top. All right. No, that came off the top of that. Wow. Oh, dear me. So, all right, it's all going to come from the heart. The frequency of the heart chakra, the green flower of life, supports our capacity to love deeply and unconditionally. Stop for a second. A lot of people will say there's no such thing as unconditional love. And I know that there is, to a degree, truth in that. Just like there's no such thing as altruism. This supports our capacity unconditionally. Its healing properties harmonize the mind and the body. Again, I feel like this is that tying back to that letting go. Allowing our imagination to take hold of that. Okay. And what is the final word for all of this? This is a great solution to some problems that I think we're all kind of trying to work our way through. And if you need some help getting through and finding out those solutions, and it doesn't have to be complex. It could be something really basic, I'm all about finding the solution. State the problem. State it in detail. Send me the email and state it in detail. If you don't want to put it in writing there, then we have to kind of connect and, just do a Zoom meeting or something. All right. I felt like that one. 3, 4, 7. King of Fire. It's the overarching. I think I can put that there. That's the King of Fire there. He's pretty nifty. He's heart-centered, right? He's very heart-centered. So the 4 of Fire, 4 of Wands, that's the 1111 card. Right, this is celebratory. And it's very interesting in the background. I don't know if you can hear or not, but I have some flute music going on. And she's sitting there playing the flute. And I have a flute. I used to play the flute. I was musically inclined, and now my music has declined. I've not kept it up. But yeah, that's a commitment. That to me says commitment, threshold. Cross it over in a good way. And we are strong with our emotions. It doesn't matter what's going on around us. This crazy, chaotic world we're living in can be burdensome. But when we are mature with our emotions, again, emotional maturity, it's a lot easier for us to navigate this. Yep. Hang on. That is Wheel of Fortune. And this has a really nice feel to it right now. It's like we are controlling this. We have the ultimate control in steering this. And I think a lot of people say that, oh, the wheel is always turning. Well, you're the one who controls it. I believe that we are able to control that wheel in our life. Yeah, and sometimes we do. We do need to walk away. We do need to turn our backs on things that no longer serve us. And if we have to use our imagination to kind of pull in ideas on how to make that manifest, we have success already if we're able to do that. There's a realization there right next to it. Ooh. We have everything that we need, and we have already mastered all of the elemental tools for us to accomplish it. Whether you're aware of what those tools are or not is another story. If you think you have mastery, you do, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to manifest it. I don't know how else to really say that. We are enlightened. We know what to do, but sometimes we get into a mindset of denial and don't think we are as big and as powerful as we are. And that's kind of where that is. We need to realize, and none of that playing around with real lies. No, this is a real eyes, like eyeball. It's a real eye. Real eye means you can see. Look at this dude. That gaze, you going to tell that dude no? He knows what's going on. Yeah. Overarching idea, energy. We have everything. I'm trying to get this so the light doesn't go on it. There we go. Maybe that works. Little mermaid. But the idea, I guess, is that our cups are all full. We even have the King of Cups, and we have mastery over this, right? We have mastery. We have the real eyes to make this all happen. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the flip side. Bye.